Tom Brady just won a Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, his 7th now in his career. And Tampa Bay is possibly going to have the same team going into the 2021 season. Am I crazy to say that they might repeat? Because right now, their free agents are Shaq Barrett, Levante David, Gronkowski, Ndamukong Suh, Chris Godwin, Leonard Fournette, Antonio Brown, Jaden Mickens, their punt returner, and Aaron Stinney, their starting guard who played tremendous, and Steve McClendon. That's a lot of players, but they have $43 million in cap space. Mike Evans has came out and said that he's willing to take a pay cut. Chris Godwin said that he wants to be back in Tampa. Everybody pretty much wants to be back in Tampa, and I think they can sign all of their guys back. And the reason they can do it is because they have so many players on rookie deals that are phenomenal. Tristan Wirfs, Antoine Winfield, Devin White, Sean Murphy-Bunting, Jamel Dean, Rojo Ronald Jones, O.J. Howard, who's going to come back from injury this upcoming season. We'll see if they keep or cut him. Carlton Davis, Vita Vea, Alex Kappa, Scotty Miller, and Tyler Johnson. These are all guys that are on rookie deals, and that's the reason they're able to – that's the reason they have so much cap space to sign their other guys back. But do you think they're going to repeat?
I would say I like to revisit this after free agency, which is probably not the answer you're hoping to hear, but if they can bring back everybody that you just rattled off, I think if they're not the favorite, they're top 2 or 3 at least, at the worst. But it's just about retaining all of the talent. Mike Evans following through on taking that pay cut. All these guys willing to take contracts that fit under the salary cap. If they can do that, I definitely agree that if not the favorite, they're a top 2 team in football going into next season. But it's just about seeing if they can get that done, because I don't think they need to add much. They showed last night and really throughout the entire second half of the season, there's not many holes on this roster. And so if you can bring back those guys in free agency, or at least a majority of them, 75% of them, the most important ones, like Shaq Barrett, I think, is probably the most important name on that list. Mm-hmm. If you could bring back the top guys from that list that you named and then supplement them with some draft picks, I would feel very confident about them going into next year.
Yeah, in my opinion, I think Shaq Barrett is coming back. Levante David is coming back. Rob Gronkowski is not going to play with any other quarterback besides Brady. So he will be back too. The Ndamukong Suh is up in the air. I'm not sure about him. I think Chris Godwin will be back. Leonard Fournette probably. And Aaron Stinney. Antonio Brown, I'm not too sure if he will be back. Jaden Mickens, I don't know. And Steve McClendon, I don't know, because they only traded for Steve McClendon because Vita Vea was injured. So I'm not sure. But this past regular season, they went 11-5. They finished 15-5 overall. After the KC loss, they went undefeated. And this is all in Tom Brady's first year being in a Bruce Arians offense, in which every quarterback that has ever played in this offense had 40 turnover plays in the first season. Andrew Luck, Big Ben, Carson Palmer, Jameis Winston, who threw 30 interceptions with the Bucs the year prior. And in Brady's first year in this system, he threw 40 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. And 12 interceptions was even a little bit high because he had a little bit of a stretch where, against the Saints especially, where he had the most interceptions against that team that he did all year. But in the second season, in this Bruce Arians offense, the team coming back, the coaching staff coming back, because Todd Bowles is staying, so is Byron Leftwich. And Tom Brady, in his second year in this offensive system, I think they have a really big chance in repeating. And I hope they do, because, see, I wish that if you're a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan watching this video or listening right now, I wish that our Tampa Bay videos did better than what they did, because in my opinion, they were highly entertaining. But also, you guys would have known that I've been waiting on my Tom Brady jersey to come all week long. A snowstorm ruined the delivery process, and because of that, I was not able to get my jersey. All that came in was this hat. My Tom Brady jersey will come in later this week. But now, if they go to the Super Bowl again, I'm going to be prepared. I'm going to have all my gear in place for another run at this thing. So I hope they do repeat. I think the only viable teams that can, challenge them are the Rams with Matthew Stafford now. We'll see what happens with that. The Chiefs, I think, will be there in the AFC. Yeah. The Bills, the Saints are going down. The Packers look like they're trending downwards. Seattle Seahawks are kind of stuck in no man's land right now. You know, I only see really the Chiefs and the Rams that can be viable teams to really knock out the Buccaneers.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And I think the free agency period and less so the draft will answer a lot of these questions, because the Chiefs, although I don't think they have much to address, the few holes that they do have coming up this offseason are big holes. And if they can fill those holes even better than they were this year, especially the offensive line, you know, I think we're having a whole different conversation next year. But and also, again, like I said with the Bucs, look at what they did in the second half of the season, and a lot of that was them getting on the same page, especially Tom Brady with the receivers. And so if you could bring back the same group, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Scotty Miller, you know, that core receiving unit, and have them all on the same page, have a year under your belt, get hopefully a real training camp, OTAs, preseason, bringing back the same coaching staff. That's a really scary thought. But the only thing that could, I guess, harm that at all would be bringing somebody else in and having to form that same connection with them. Like you saw the growing pains in the first few weeks up until the bye week. But once they came out of the bye week, they lit the world on fire. So it's just, you know, you need that time in a Bruce Arians system to get on the same page. But with Tom Brady in that system and the weapons they have, once everybody got on the same page, you saw how dangerous it can be, and it resulted in a Super Bowl. So it's all about, to me, what they do this offseason, who they can bring back, and if they don't bring guys back, they need to bring in replacements who are able to catch up quick.
So right now, the Buccaneers have $38.6 million in cap space going into the offseason. The notable free agents that I named earlier, Shaq Barrett, Levante David, Gronk, Sue, Godwin, Fournette, AB, Jaden Mickens, Aaron Stinney, and McClendon, based on their market value, it would cost the Buccaneers $43 million to sign all of those guys back. And that's talking about all of those guys back. The Buccaneers can cut Donovan Smith and save $14 million. And Donovan Smith, he's a good tackle, not knocking him. But if we're ranking how good each player is on that Buccaneers offensive line, Donovan Smith would either be the worst or the second worst. That's $14 million that they can save, and not only sign all of their players back, but potentially sign another tackle in free agency. Alejandro Villanueva is going to be out there. Russell Okung, Trent Williams. If Trent Williams wants to take a pay cut, God. There are options. I'm just saying, I would expect the Buccaneers to cut Donovan Smith and go after one of these better left tackles in free agency. I wouldn't rule out Trent Williams. And if they get Trent Williams, that is going to be huge.
Yeah, they're a scary team. And one of the only questions that I would have is, will Father Time ever catch up to Tom Brady? You know, it's the same question we've been asking about him. We've been asking about LeBron James for years. Eventually, you'd have to imagine it's going to start to catch up, and it's just a matter of when. I don't think it's next year. I think in the few years after that, his play will start to decline a little bit, but that's going to be a scary roster. And even if he does slow down a little bit next year from a 40-touchdown, 12-interception season, with the team around him and that defense having another year together with all those young studs that you mentioned, I mean, Devin White looks like he's going to be one of the best defensive players in football the next few years.
Yep.
That's a scary roster.
I think we can both agree that they are probably favorites to repeat if they re-sign their players